Mesopotamia was home to the first city builders. As civilization flourished, so did the ingenuity and engineering skills of the peoples that lived there. And since the time of the first Sumerian city-states, large structures planned and commissioned by powerful central governments have been built, and some still stand to this day. By the late Iron Age, one such building caught the eye of traveling ancient Greeks, and in the 2nd century BC, the Greek writer and engineer Philo of Byzantium added this structure into his manuscript, The Seven Wonders of the World. The structure of legends was the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Of all the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Hanging Gardens is the only one we have no archaeological evidence for, and its exact location is unknown. The only named king credited for it is the new Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II, who ruled from 605 to 562 BC, and only one source claims him to be the architect of the magnificent gardens. Legend holds it that the Hanging Gardens were built around 600 BC along the Euphrates River in modern-day Iraq. The king ordered the gardens to be built for his queen, for she missed the green hills and valleys of her homeland. The Hanging Gardens were a towering 23-meter-high tiered structure. Its thick walls were built with several layers of bricks to contain enough soil to provide root growth for the largest trees. For the water to reach the higher tiers of the gardens, a system of waterways and Archimedes' screws were put in place. Such garden would have been like a lush, colorful oasis, seen from a distance in an otherwise dry landscape. However, the lack of archaeological evidence and first-hand accounts has made modern historians wonder whether or not this wonder actually existed. The well-documented rule of Nebuchadnezzar II makes no mention of such a massive undertaking, and the one source that claims him to be the commissioner of the gardens was a Babylonian priest, who might have claimed this for political gain. Could it be that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon never existed? Though some do certainly ask that question, perhaps the gardens simply were not in Babylon. The retired Oxford University scholar of the ancient Near East, Stephanie Daly, suggests exactly this. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were not in Babylon. It could be that they were actually built in Nineveh, over 500 kilometers away. Around the year of 700 BC, the Assyrian king Sennacherib had a lush tiered garden built supported by a massive system of canals, dams and aqueducts in order to carry water to Nineveh, with water-raising screws used to raise the water to the upper levels of the gardens, evidence for which has been found. Daly further suggests that the name Babylon in ancient Mesopotamia meant Gate of the Gods, and Sennacherib had the city gates of Nineveh renamed after gods. So perhaps he wanted his city to be considered a Babylon, a gate of the gods. Sennacherib himself left written descriptions of his achievements with the gardens and water engineering, even calling it a wonder for all peoples. His grandson Assurbanipal later had a depiction of the mature garden sculptured on a wall panel at his palace. And equally as importantly, the descriptions of the classical authors fit closely to the contemporary records of Sennacherib and his historians. So is it hard to imagine that a misunderstanding centuries later had the location of this wonder in the wrong city? King Sennacherib's garden was well known at the time. The feats of engineering and waterworks were quite incredible and unprecedented at the time. The beauty of the garden doesn't stay far behind. The Assyrians had already a tradition of royal garden building, and Sennacherib wanted to have the greatest of them all. The garden had trees from all over: pines, cypresses and junipers, pear trees, grapes, date trees, ebony, rosewood, and so many other kinds of trees. It was an incredible, intricate botanical garden built as a grand tiered pyramid, with many kinds of plants and flowers and even artificial ponds and waterfalls, a true sight to behold. But however grand it was, the gardens eventually came undone. And it is believed that a series of earthquakes coupled with erosion eventually brought the gardens down during the 2nd century BC. Would you like me to cover other wonders in the future? Well, if you prefer wars and battles, you're in luck, because next week we'll be covering the Battle of Chaeronea of 338 BC between Philip II of Macedon and a coalition of Greek city-states fighting for independence from the Macedonians. In the meantime, you should probably check out these videos on the screen, picked specifically for you. So stay wonderful, and wolf out.